go. Train time. Where go?
Gentlemen, this school is about combat. There are no points for second place.
This is the Never Down, Never Out podcast with your host, T.R. Matson.
Welcome back, T.R. Matson, also known as Wombat, if you will. Coming at you with the Never Down, Never Out podcast today. Still fired up about that Mike Dawson intro. What do you guys think? Hopefully everybody else likes it as much as I do, because, I mean, the thing about Dawson that's great, and it shows with the intro, in my opinion, is like, I just asked him. I said, hey, man, I'm doing this podcast thing. Like, is there any chance that, you can help me polish it? This is your world, and people that have heard me talk about my books, I'm not the expert in that, in any of those fields. I might be able to tell a story, but I can't edit. I can't make cover art. I can't format. I can't do all that. So I really outsourced that to the professionals, to include the audiobook books that Dawson did. And I told him, I go, hey, here's the podcast. Here's an episode if you want to listen to it. This is my plan. I just need something. And he goes, yeah, you definitely need a way to direct people to your website, to you at the end of each one. And I was like, oh, okay. So he goes, hey, give me some time. He's super busy with all the stuff he does. But when he came back and did it, it was like, there was no edits. Like, what you hear is the first, that's what he gave me. And I'm like, man, this guy's good. Anyway, hopefully you like it. I'm rambling today. I do have a good story for today. I want to say thank you again for all the support, all the likes and shares and comments and hypes on YouTube. Apparently they're doing something, so I appreciate all that. Today's a funny one. The skill of getting back up, right? It is a skill. It's a skill. You got to learn it, right? I mean, think about it. Kids fall down, they cry, and they sit there because they want their mom or dad to help them, right? So we have to learn the skill that is getting back up. Now, let me tell you when I learned, vividly remember this, when I learned this skill. So if you remember the story of me with Pop Warner football as a big kid, and I had to lose, 20 pounds in a month or whatever it was in order to make the team, because, it's a safety issue. They don't want you hurting the other kids. And now as a dad, it's funny. Life comes full circle, because my son wanted to play football about a year ago. And the way they had the team set up, one of the, we brought him out there and he did a practice and it was okay. And then I took him to a practice and I was out there talking to the coach and he had my son paired up against like 100-pound kid. And my boy was like under 50 pounds. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right, and it brought me back to my Pop Warner football days. Right. So anyway, I had to lose all that weight and I lost that weight and I got on the team and we're practicing, right? I didn't know how to play football. I had watched it on TV, but I had no idea the fundamentals of the game and all that. And typically at that age, you're just running a lot of drills, right? Just like any kid's sport, you run a lot of drills. So, okay, how does this tie into the skill of getting back up? Well, hear me out. So we did this drill, and I remember this was, almost 40 years ago. I remember this vividly. You would there would be a circle of all the players, big circle, right? Everybody shoulder to shoulder around the circle. And inside the circle, you would have two players laying on the ground, on their backs, helmet to helmet, if you can visualize that, and one coach. So big circle of players, two kids laying on their backs, helmet touching, helmet to helmet, and a coach who had a football. And he would essentially, randomly, between the two, drop the football on one of the kids. And that's how they identified who was offense, who was defense. And the play was that as soon as the ball dropped, whoever it landed on got up and tried to run through without getting tackled to the edge of the circle, past the other kid who now didn't get the ball is trying to tackle. And it all happens in a split second. Now, there was a lot of kids that had played football before, had run this drill before. I was honestly just excited to be part of the team. And so we go out there and here I am and, I'm just trying to soak it all in and it comes my turn and I run up and I sit down, I lay down, shimmy in position, helmet to helmet. And coach blows the whistle and drops the ball on my chest. And I grab it, and I maybe got to my knees and turned around before this kid just plowed right through me. I mean, I remember vividly the shock and pain of just being mowed down by this kid. And he wasn't necessarily that much bigger than me, or he was just fast, and he had probably practiced and probably had done this before, and I never had. So he was up and boom, right through me. And I'm laying there, my knees are still on the ground, but I'm laying on my back and holding this football. And all the kids are screaming because it was a great hit. Everybody's pumped up. And the coach looks at me, and he didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't help me up. He reached down and took the football. And at that moment, I knew nobody was coming to help me get up. But I also knew there was, 30, 40, 50 kids in a circle. And there was one kid that just ran me down who was pumped up. And I had to get up. I couldn't just lay there. So I took a deep breath. I was in, he knocked the wind out of me. I don't think I was in any physical pain other than the shock of it. But I got myself up, shook it off, and walked back to my place. And the thing about it that it taught me is by doing that, before I realized that 2 more kids were up, the drill kept going on, right? It was a hit, and I sure felt it, but nobody was really focused on me anymore because life goes on, right? The drill goes on. So, I kind of think back on that in life, and I go, man, that was the first chance where I really learned getting back up, because the longer you stay down, people are going to take notice, and not in a good way. If I had laid there on the ground and started to cry or just, you've seen it, we're young kids. If I had shown weakness, I would have been the focus for everybody there. But I mustered up enough strength to just get back on my feet and get back into position. And that was enough for the people that were there to be like, all right, whatever, moving on. We got other things to do. And before we knew it, we were all running laps for somebody screwing something up anyway. So it's important that, like we talked about, and I'm going to focus on this a lot, because this is, for those that are just tuning in, this is my section, right? Failure, setbacks, and resilience. This is what we're talking about. And the idea that, you got to get back up. You don't have a choice. And I'm here to tell you that. You don't have a choice of quitting in this world. You need to live your life with a mentality that quitting is just not an option. And I know you can go on YouTube and you can go out there on social media, and there's so many cliches. There's so many gurus out there that are going to tell you, their secret sauce to being motivated and all this stuff. And that's fine. That's their plan. That's their business model. And that's fine. There is nothing. If there's anything, and I don't even think this is a secret sauce, it's owning your mind and realizing you can't quit, period. Take that option off the table, right? I remember a couple months back when I found out, my mom had cancer and she was going to have to go through some treatments and she was really strong right off the bat. Right off the bat, she immediately, her mentality changed. Oh, I'm fighting. And I was really proud of her for that. And then I knew it would wane at some point, because we all do, right? Whenever the strongest person in the world, when they face adversity, they're like, yeah, let's go get it. And then at some point, their mind's like, are you sure you can get it? You're like, man. And that's why we need the people around us to build us up. And I remember vividly having a conversation with her when she was feeling a little sad, feeling a little worn out. And I told her, I go, look, let me make this very clear. I'm going to make this very, very, very simple to you. You are not allowed to quit until I tell you you can quit. Period. I need that agreement. You cannot quit this fight until I tell you you can. And she, to her credit, she goes, that's fair. She goes, I will not give up until you tell me. I said, all right. And now as we approach, she's battling it, and she's in the final stages of the treatment, and God willing, this will all be behind us soon. But it really speaks volumes to her that she was so naturally willing to get back up. She had that negative moment, that dip, and all it took was just like, hey, quit. There's no quit. There's no nothing. You're going through this one way or another. So this knocked you down. This isn't what you expected, but tough. Let's get after it. And that's something, I've learned more than once in my life, but I think the first time I really felt it was on that Pop Warner football field in Sayreville, New Jersey at 7, 8, 9 years old, however old I was. So today, you're going to hear me say it a lot. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fall down. But if you haven't learned the skill of getting back up, or if you haven't recognized that you have that skill, take a moment today and really think about it, because it's critical. It's critical to be able to get back up. That's a skill we all have, and we just have to build on it. Life is not going to make it easy on you, and it certainly hasn't for anybody that I know. And that's okay. I think that's part of why we're here. So today, whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're working on, if you need this to be your sign that it's time to get back up, then I'm telling you, get back up. You can quit when I tell you you can quit. Yeah, you can quit when I tell you can quit. Thanks for tuning in.
T.R. Matson is a 20-year Navy career combat veteran who flew the E-2C Hawkeye and F/A-18C Hornet. He's the author of Treason Flight and Vengeance Flight. You can reach him at trmatson or trmatson.com. Thanks for listening to the Never Down, Never Out podcast.